Hi everybody, this is Kira here from EPS. I'm just going to wait another minute or two while we have more of our attendees join us, and then we'll kick off. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody this morning to the next episode in our It's Open Networking webinar series. So today we're focusing on an exploration of data center network automation with Apstra. My name is Kira McCarthy and I'm the Global Marketing Director for EPS Global. So just to give you a bit of background on EPS, we're the open networking distributor of choice globally for a whole host of industries. So we sit at the center of the open networking ecosystem. So we bring together the hardware and the open networking operating software to create turnkey solutions for our customers. We offer technical advice, configuration of software and hardware bundles, that's switches, optics, cables, and more. So we've been around for 20 years. This is our 21st year, and we have 28 locations around the world. So we're never far away. I would like to introduce our speakers today. First of all, we will have Barry McGinley. So Barry is our systems engineer for EMEA. So he's one of EPS's resident techies, and he has a deep knowledge of open networking. He primarily works on proof of concepts for data center deployments and the new bare metal hardware for carrier and telecom solutions that's available, from the Cord platform within the ONF to some backhaul projects within the Telecom Infra project. Barry is based in Dublin, Ireland, enjoys a pint of Guinness, and is an avid Celtic supporter. I'll let him speak for himself later, but he writes an excellent monthly blog that's worth checking out on our website at epsglobal.com. It's a popular tech blog. I'd also like to welcome Mehdi Abdelwahab from Apstra. So he is a solution architect with Apstra. He has 15 years experience in the industry with both service provider and hardware vendors. With an in-depth expertise in data center and wide area networks, his focus has been on network automation for the past 4 years. Mehdi joined Apstra 2.5 years ago as the first SE in EMEA, and he is involved in both end customer engagements and channel technical enablement. Mehdi is based in Paris, France, and we're delighted to have him with us here today. So just a bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, just type them into the Q&A window at the bottom of Zoom, and Barry or Mehdi will answer those questions at the end. And if there's anything that we don't get to, we'll respond to you personally after the webinar. So with that, I would like to hand over to Barry to get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Kira. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. So what we're going to have a look at today is I'm going to give an introduction to EPS, so kind of explain exactly what we do in open networking. I have a high-level overview of open networking hardware and software, and some of the kind of organizations, I suppose you call them, foundations that kind of help the ecosystem. Then Mehdi's going to have a look at an intro to Apstra, explain what intent-based networking is, and then with AOS, have a look at the actual design phase, validation phase, and some troubleshooting and analytics. And as Kira said, any questions, we'll cover them at the end, and we'll have a quick summation. Okay, so EPS. So we're 21 years old this year, and for the last 7 years, we've been involved in open networking. That came about because we became global distributors for EdgeCore networks. For anyone who doesn't know EdgeCore, they're a subsidiary of the Acton Group, who are an OEM, ODM out of Taiwan. And if you've used a switch that's not Cisco, you've probably used an Acton Group switch. So what Acton did was they spun out a company called EdgeCore to look after all the bare metal. So Acton themselves look after the branded boxes, I suppose you could call them, are bright boxes. So that's HP and Dell and that kind of thing. So yeah, about 7 years ago, so early enough in open networking, like 2013. I think we kind of realized fairly early on that the normal rules of distribution didn't apply in open networking because it was quite new. So we had to get out and start evangelizing about open networking and explain to people what it was. And then as well, the hardware is only one piece of the puzzle. So we went out and started talking to the NOS vendors, and we always say not just some of the NOS vendors, all the NOS vendors. It was very important for us that we don't kind of pigeonhole a customer into a particular piece of software just because it suits us or we have a better relationship with one of the vendors. There's enough software vendors out there to find the perfect fit for each use case. So that's important to us, and that's a service we provide. Other services we provide, so for those NOS vendors, we can do kind of branding, that kind of stuff. But as well, we can put the operating system on, the licenses on, and obviously ship with interoperable transceivers and cables. So we try and take a little of the hardship out of open networking because it can be a bit daunting. Customers, right, Grant, we have bare metal, so we've multiple vendors for this. Then we've got multiple network operating systems. Then hardware compatibility lists for transceivers, for DACs, all this kind of stuff can get a bit confusing. So we take that hardship out of it for our customers. And basically we can have switches ready to slide into a rack for our customers and for our NOS vendors, our partners as well. So that's briefly what we do. So I'm going to give a kind of high level overview of open networking before we go on to Maddie. So the first one we look at ONF, the Open Networking Foundation, founded in 2012, primarily to do what we did as well, kind of push the benefits of SDN, and they looked after the OpenFlow protocol as well. So OpenFlow was the first protocol that allowed for the separation of the control and data planes. In 2016, they kind of changed course and started a project for the carrier market. So it's Cord Central Office re-architected as a data center. So this is to put bare metal and bring what's happened to the data center into the central office for carriers and telcos. So it was 2016, and by 2019, they had reference designs for a bunch of projects. So SEBA, which is software-enabled broadband access for residential and enterprise broadband, COMAC, Trellis, which is spine and leaf in the central office, ODTN, which is optical transport. And then by 2020, late 2019, 2020, they started kind of rollout. So Telecom are running with SEBA, that's the software-enabled broadband access. Comcast are running Trellis in their production network, and there's a bunch more. So worth having a look at if you haven't seen anything on that. 2012 then as well, a couple of months after the ONF, the OCP were founded. And the reason behind this was Facebook and Intel. So Facebook redesigned all their hardware, but it was kind of to start a bit of a revolution and collaboration in hardware that we had seen with the Linux community and software. It's been a big success. And kind of briefly the way it works, if you're a member, you can give in a specification. So we'll say EPS, say we're looking for a 100 gig switch with 32 ports and 6 400 gig uplinks, something like that. Then anyone else who's a member can give in design files based on those specifications. The OCP accept the design files, and then companies can go off and build the actual hardware based on those design files. Once the hardware is built, the OCP accepted as an OCP accepted product. It goes into their OCP marketplace, and then the design files of the actual build are shared with the entire community. So that's this kind of cooperative, collaborative affair. And as well, so all the hardware that's used, well, just about in the ONF's projects and TIP, which I'm going to talk about now, were born in the OCP. So you can see how this is kind of a community. So the final one there is the Telecom Infra project that was founded in 2016, around the same time the Cord platform started with the ONF. So obviously it's for telcos, and there's 3 project groups. We have access, which is your RAN access, backhaul from the towers back to their data center, and then core and services, which is there's projects on segmentation and end-to-end slicing and things like that. They have a bunch of their products on the TIP exchange. It's worth having a look at as well.